Jagardiv, Jai Masters. Spirituality and the spiritual path is not what most people think it is. Yes, there are techniques that can take you deep inside. Meditation, mantra, renunciation, all kinds of traditional things that people are taught are spiritual. There's a book that many of you have read by Hermann Hesse called Siddhartha. It's a masterpiece, has been for a very long time. In that book, Siddhartha was a member of that kind of community where it was renunciation, it was meditation, it was silence, it was all of what we conceive of as spiritual things. Well, to summarize unfairly, he left and got pulled into the world. Marriage, money, business, success, failure, all kinds of things. And when it's all over, his friends are still doing their thing, practicing their philosophies, reading what they're supposed to read, and he ends up just sitting next to a river stream, completely at peace, completely done. He had used his life, or life had used him, to completely purify anything that was left in him of desire, of fear, of concepts, of views, of opinions, of preferences, of goods and bads and rights and wrongs. And he was done. He was at peace. And the intention of the story, though I don't know how many get it, is that life is your guru. And many masters have taught that. What does that mean? Because people like to think, I have a spiritual life and I have a worldly life. That is absolutely not true. If you're doing that, you will not grow at a very, very deep level. If you're practicing renunciation, which is a fine thing to do, it's good that people have will and discipline and so on, but if you're practicing renunciation, the real question is not how do I avoid that which I need to renounce. The question is, why is there anything you need to renounce? What is the difference between something that you're comfortable with, it existing, being near you, away from you, whatever, and something that you're not comfortable with, whether it's near you or not near you, whichever one, and you have to practice this act of keeping it away from you. What is the difference between those two objects? The one that you're done with and the one that you're not done with. Now, the reason that most people don't teach this stuff is because people are not really sincere, like Siddhartha was, in their spiritual growth. And if you tell them, just do what you want, that's what they'll do. They'll just do what they want. If you have a desire, go get it. If you have a fear, stay away from it. Why bother renouncing? Well, that's not going to grow spiritually. It's much subtler than that. What is the subtleness? You're in there. It's all about witness consciousness. If you're awake enough to realize, I'm in here, I have desires, I have fears. I'm not the desire, I'm not the fear. I am the consciousness that is aware that there's stuff going on in here. I bet you all get A in that class. No one took notes. I don't understand. It's what is. It's not something you learn. It's nothing you study. You know that. You know that there are things that can happen outside that attract you. And there are things that can happen outside that repel you, that you feel aversion to, right or wrong. Okay, that's your spiritual growth. What? Doing them and not doing them? It's never about doing or not doing. See how quick it goes deep? And that's why people can't teach it. They want to know, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Should I get married or shouldn't I get married? Should I have another kid or should I not have another kid? Should I get divorced? I get more questions, should I get divorced, than I do, should I get married? It's none of that. And there are no answers to that. It's about as follows. I'm in here. I'm not done. How can you tell? Ha, ha, ha. Okay? I have disturbances. I have issues. I have fears. I have desires. I have anxiety. I have worry. I have self-consciousness. I have embarrassment. I have shame. Anybody got any of those things? Okay, then you're not done. Well, then I should create an environment where I don't have shame and I'm not embarrassed and I do every single thing to make sure those things don't exist. No. I mean, if you have to, okay, fine. But it's much deeper than that. You sit there and you look and you say, okay, here's the battlefield. Here's the playing field. There's this stuff going on in here. And if you ask what I do about it, what your mind is going to tell you is to get what you want and avoid what you don't want. Why? Because if I get what I want, I feel better. Don't lie to yourself. If I get what I want, I feel better. If I don't get what I want, I feel worse. And if I get what I don't want, let's not discuss that. I'm paranoid. I'm scared to death. It leaves scars on me. It's traumatic. So therefore, your mind as your advisor is going to always tell you to try to manipulate situations around you to get them the way you are most comfortable. And to manipulate situations around you to where you don't have to deal with anything that makes you uncomfortable. Can anybody relate to that? That is not spiritual. That is the antithesis of spiritual. Because what that's saying is, my problems, that which I'm not done with, should run my life. I'll avoid what I'm scared of, therefore you won't get rid of fear. I'll run after what I want, therefore you'll never understand why you're not whole within yourself. Because you're trying to get it outside and avoid it outside. So spirituality is subtle. It's just subtle. It's deep. The only way you're really going to get into deep spirituality is to be the witness. And you are the witness. What do you mean? I haven't practiced meditation or anything. I don't care. Do you know you have... Does anybody have thoughts? Does anybody have emotions? How do you know? How do you know you have thoughts? Because you're a conscious being and you see them. You hear them. You deal with them. How do you know you have emotions? Because I'm in here. They go on in here. That is witness consciousness. You are the witness. To practice witness consciousness is the funniest thing in the whole world. That is your mind saying, I have to find the witness. How do I find the witness? Maybe if I stare here, if I do that. Who hears it saying that? That is the witness. The consciousness that is aware of your thoughts is witnessing your thoughts. The consciousness that's aware of your emotions is witnessing your emotions. There, you're done. But you're not. Why? Because you can't sit there. You can't stay there. You mean there are times I'm not conscious? No, there are not times you're not conscious. There are times that you're so conscious of your emotions that you're not conscious of being conscious of your emotions. Did we get that? Okay. Wow, you're a good group. Because that's what deep spirituality is that there's never a condition in which you're not conscious of being conscious of what's going on in there. Doesn't mean you don't do anything about it. Doesn't mean you don't interact. It doesn't mean you renounce. It doesn't mean you run away. It doesn't mean you run toward. It means you are aware. Now, why, if I am aware, and I'm always aware, what is this state in which I'm not aware of being aware? I call it a state of distraction. You're distracted by what you're looking at, your thoughts, your emotions, the world, your body, whatever. You're distracted so much by it that you lose your objectivity. Krishnamurti called witness consciousness, way back before all the fancy words were made, objective observation. You are in there without judging, just clearly noticing what you're noticing. Not good, bad, wrong, right, wrong. Just you're noticing what you're noticing. You can't do that all the time. Why? Because the pull of the object of consciousness, that which you're noticing, is powerful. It's strong. Anybody want to admit that? It's very strong. And the next thing you know, you're not there watching. You're there doing. You're there reacting. Your mouth is opening up saying things that you said you wouldn't say. And you're doing things, oh God, here I am again. So that's what's going on. That is your path. Your path is, how do you grow from getting lost in what you're seeing to always being clear of what you're seeing, of who's seeing? Are you lost in what you're seeing, or are you clear that you are seeing? It's that close. You're pretty close, aren't you? It's not, you have to go to India. You have to climb the Himalayas. You don't have to do anything. You're already there, but you can't stay there. So instead of taking the attitude, how do I get there? You have to take the attitude, how do I stop not being there? How do I stop getting lost in my thoughts? Not how to renounce my thoughts. Not how I silence my mind. You silence your mind, get up, it's going to be talking again. Why? You didn't change anything. The question is, why is the mind talking? Why are the emotions emoting the way they are? And why is it so strong that I can't live with it? You say, I can't handle this. Ever said I can't handle this? What you're basically saying is, I don't care if I'm in here or not. What I'm watching is a non-starter. I can't handle that's going on, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it's not going on. Well, fine, goodbye. And you're not going to grow. Why? Because there's a reason this thing's coming up, and there's a reason you can't handle it. And you didn't deal with that. You dealt with that I can't handle it. Do you see the difference? You didn't deal why or what to do about it. You said, I can't handle this, stop it. This cannot be going on. But it is. No. To throw a tantrum in there. So your real growth is as follows. Well, I thought I loved her or him, and we thought we were getting along, and then he left with somebody else, and oh my God, I can't even get out of bed, and I'm so messed up. Oh, so you couldn't handle it. Your growth is the ability to handle it. Now, once you're able to handle it, doesn't mean you don't go to a marriage counselor, doesn't mean you don't sit down and talk about it, doesn't mean you don't do things that harmonize what's going on outside, but you don't do them because you can't handle it. I am not out there talking to you and manipulating you because I can't handle what you just did. First, I handle what you did. Did I like it? I didn't have to say I liked it. This is what happened, and I'm here. Can I handle it? Now what? Maybe there's something I should be doing about it. Not for me, for just as much for you as much for anybody else. Is there some service? That's the key. Is there some service I can provide for this moment that is unfolded in front of me, even though I was not comfortable with it? Can I let go of the fact that I wasn't comfortable with it? Doesn't mean you made yourself comfortable with it. It means I don't care. Yes, there's a part of me that's not comfortable. I can look over that. I don't have to be that. It's something I see. It's not who I am. I'm the one who sees it. So I see now there's jealousy in there. And it wants to do its jealousy thing. Okay? Normally, you have no say in the matter. You're going to do your jealousy thing. And then you're going to rationalize it and justify it. Anybody would do that. What do you expect from me? Of course I was jealous. Look what you did. Or at least what I think you did. You understand that? So that pull pulls you down into it, and you're not there. So I'm telling you, anytime you're not there, you're not dealing with the situation properly. You're dealing with a situation to try and make it more comfortable for you. That's what you're doing. Because it's not comfortable, and I need to make it comfortable because I can't handle it. What if you can handle it? Notice I didn't say it felt good. I didn't say it's not there. I didn't say there aren't human emotions going on. Nobody's denying that. Have you ever felt jealousy? Can you handle that there is an emotion in the human heart that feels like jealousy? You ain't the only one. Everyone here said yes, they felt it. So can you sit there and realize and accept and honor, and this is where the words accept and surrender come in. You accepted the fact that this is not comfortable and it is jealousy coming up inside. I'm not judging myself. I don't feel guilty about it. I'm not going to go rushing out there and try to make things stop so I don't feel jealous. I am able to handle the fact that there is jealousy in here. So the question becomes, can you handle it? Yes, I can handle it. You're telling me it doesn't disturb you? It disturbs a part of me. And I'm able to see the part it disturbs, and I can handle it. I told you once, if you can't handle the sight of blood, that's not all jealousy. If you can't handle the sight of blood, don't bother showing up at my car accident because you can't help me. If you can't handle the feeling of jealousy, watch out because it's real. It can happen sometimes, can it? That's exactly the same as they can handle the sight of blood. So you're the last person in the world that should be handling that situation if you've already admitted you can't handle it. So when you learn, and we'll talk about how you grow to that point, I'm in here, I notice it, I've seen it before, I can handle this. Now, does it mean you don't do anything? No, it does not mean that. I mean, once there's at least, there's not going to be perfect clarity, but once there's at least enough clarity to where it has not pulled you into it and you lost yourself in your jealousy or in your fear or in your whatever it is, now you're clear enough, you look to see, is there something that I should be doing in this situation to do what? raise the energy of the situation. Not make me not feel jealous, because I can handle feeling jealous. Do you understand that? All right? So you pull up to the car accident, there's blood. Okay? And I ain't used to blood. Can you handle it in order to help this person? Yes. Does that mean you're comfortable? No, it means I'm high enough and clear enough to say, okay, there's blood. Yes, I don't like blood. Yes, in my past I couldn't handle it. I'm the only one here, and I'm going to help this person. Now you're clear enough to say, what should I be doing to help? As opposed to, that goes for everything in your whole life. Every single thing in your whole life is that. You are in here, and I'm telling you, if there's anything you have trouble with in there, either because you're strongly attracted to it and can't handle that, or strongly repelled by it and can't handle it, that is your spiritual growth. Period. Much more than anything you read in books, much more than anything you could ever do, techniques, this and that thing. That gap between your ability to stay centered and conscious and clear enough to deal with the world, and you can't. That's what Siddhartha is telling you. You go through what you need to go through to be through. Now, what does that look like? Do I get married or not get married? Obviously, I must feel some attraction. Why else would I be getting married? Fine. There is attraction. That's a very beautiful thing, but it can also be a major problem. I don't care if you have any money. We'll live outside in tents. We'll see how long that lasts. But you're not stopping. You're just looking at it and saying, God, it's just beautiful that I feel all this love. It's beautiful that I feel all this openness. Right? Now, are you able to handle that? I talked about handling your jealousy. You don't want to talk about handling love, do you? But handling love does not mean renouncing it. It does not mean pushing it away. It doesn't mean grabbing it. It means I'm in here, and right now there's all this love in here. There wasn't yesterday before I met you. And darn it, if every time I see you, don't I feel that love? Isn't that beautiful? Yes, but can you handle it? Or is it going to take over your entire life and you're not even there? Because that's not going to work. Because you're going to sit there and say, oh God, if he would just pay attention to me, I'd be fine right now paying attention. Oh, if he loved me, well, okay, he loves you. If we could get married, okay, you get married. If we could have children. It never stops. But does that mean that's wrong? Nothing. It's not wrong. Are you willing to finally wake up and look and see? There's a reason that all that's going on inside of you. Both the jealousy and the love and all that stuff. What is that? You're not experiencing a state of total well-being within yourself. Anyone deny that? When you wake up in the morning, it's like, oh boy, I'm back. And every single minute of all day is, wow, look what's happening. Isn't this challenging? Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this awesome? How would you like to be there? You're not going to get there by getting married. Right? And you're not going to get there by being rich. And you're not going to get there by being famous. You're not going to get, you understand that? It ain't going to happen. You will get some rush, but it won't last. So you come down, and your real question for your spiritual growth is, not what do I do about what it's like in here? Why is it like that in here? Nobody will ask that. It's always about what do I do about the fact that I'm jealous? What do I do about the fact that I love this person and don't notice me? What do I do about the fact that my biological clock is ticking? And I haven't had the baby and I always wanted to have the baby. But okay, you have a baby. But I don't have anybody. I mean, I don't have a relationship, but my biological clock is ticking. There's a natural flow of things, but you can't hear that because you got all this stuff in there. So why do you have that stuff in there? That's what the deep spirituality asks, not what to do about it. Your mind will always go right away to what to do about it. How do I solve this? Spirituality is about, why is it like that in here? Is this natural that I'd be all screwed up and have to spend my whole life trying to be okay? Is that the natural state of affairs? No, it's not. Go ask some great masters who reach very high states. They'll tell you, absolutely not. You are exactly in the state that the greatest master, Christ, Buddha, anybody, you are in that state right now. You are the highest being that ever walked the face of the earth. Right now. The trouble is, instead of being who you are, you're distracted by the garbage that's going on inside of you. And now you've identified with this human. It's kind of hard to get along with. He's got a body that's frail, and it's got a psyche, and it's got all this stuff going on outside that it's all screwed up about. And so if somebody says, boo, yeah, somebody says, I love you, it's like you can't handle anything. You can't, and you're lost in that. That's not who you are. Someday you will look and realize I'm the one who's noticing that. I don't deny it, but I'm noticing it. Who am I? Who am I that notices it? Not what do I do about it, or how do I stop it, or how do I get it, or how do I change things so that it's better. You're not serving the lowest part of your being. There's this clarity, and all of a sudden, let's jump to the end quick. When you have that clarity, you don't get pulled in. Why? Because you have enough well-being inside of your true self that I'm going back down there. I'm telling you, all it takes is one experience for a minute of your higher being, and your life has changed forever. Okay? Now what you do about it, if all you do is talk about this experience I had and it was so beautiful, you ain't getting anywhere. If you realize, wait a minute, there's some nice stuff in there. Not how do I get back? That's the mistake people make. The question is not how do I get back there. The question is, why am I not there naturally? If my natural state is, Christ said, Buddha said, all of them said, you're the highest being to walk the face of the earth. Christ said, as I sit by the throne of my Father, that's not a seat, it's a state of consciousness. As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things which I do, you should do these and even greater things. He's telling you the greatest being that ever was. Why don't I experience that? That's your spiritual growth. When you start getting centered and calm and realize, what's going on in here that it's such a mess? Now, how do I avoid it or compensate for it? Why is it a mess? And believe it or not, that is such an easy answer to that question, but you just won't look. And what you're going to find out, that every single thing you're a mess about is because you messed yourself up. No, God did not do it. Your ex-husband didn't do it. You did it. How can you say that? Because every event that happened in your life already is over. It's your past. It happened 20 years ago. It happened 5 days ago. It happened 3 hours ago. Somebody said something to you. You look a little pale. What's wrong with you? Oh, for the next 3 hours. Well, I don't look pale. You got neurotic because you couldn't handle what somebody said 3 hours ago or 30 years ago, including your parents or your sisters or your brothers or your exes. You can't handle what happened to you. Have I insulted anybody yet? Do you understand? You can't handle what already happened to you. You know that. And so you run away from it. You hide it. You don't need spiritual teachings for that. You know how to try and avoid that stuff because it's not comfortable. What does that mean, I can't handle what already happened to me? First, I just told you, being able to sit there and say I can't handle it, that's very unhealthy stuff. Why? Because what are you going to do if you can't handle something that happened? It's really funny what you do. Here's something that's happened to me. It happened to me 20 years ago. I wasn't comfortable with it. I'm not going to lie to you. I was very, very uncomfortable with it. So what did you do about it? You ready? I stored it inside of me so that it can bother me for the rest of my life. How's that working out? All right? And you're going to find out, believe it or not, that's the problem. And that's the only problem. The fact that you have gone through your life and there have been natural events, nobody says they're nice, and they're life unfolding. There are natural events that unfolded in front of you that you had trouble with. It's not your fault. But either you didn't get taught or you didn't bother to learn how to handle things. To learn how to sit there and say, into every life some rain must fall. This was my rainy day. Okay? But now it's sunny out. If you stored your rainy day, you don't see the sunny day. You're afraid that it will rain again. Okay? She had a bad marriage. Fine. People have different kinds of marriages. You got divorced. Good. Mazel tov. You got divorced. He's over. She's gone. Whatever the heck it is. Not a chance in the world. Every time somebody says something to remind you of it, you get upset, you get moody. Anytime you try to get into a relationship, you remember what it was that bothered you. If you fill out one of those online form things of who you're looking for, you might as well have said, not him. Right? Every single thing that he or she was about, no, I don't want to. You stored this inside of you. So if you store everything that ever disturbed you inside of you, I'm going to repeat that. You're smart people, this is your test. If you store every single thing that ever bothered you inside of you, what's it going to be like in there? Oh, disturbed. That's why it's disturbed. Don't blame it on God. Don't think if you meditate more, it's going to go away. You stored that in there. Yes, you meditate, you go very deep. You come back. It's coming back. That doesn't mean you shouldn't meditate. People talk to me like, I do not talk against meditation. I love meditation. It's a wonderful thing. It's very nice to get centered and to feel something nice. But you better do this work down there, or you're always going to be struggling to stay up there. And if you do this work down there, I don't want to say it, your meditations become spontaneous. You're sitting there watching TV, bye-bye. Sitting there driving a car, bye-bye. That's why we have Teslas and autopilots. I'm going to tell Elon there should be meditation mode. So if the stuff's in there, it's going to be sensitive. He hit my stuff. My favorite is this. You know we don't talk about that around your father. Why? Because daddy's all screwed up. And so are we. Just about different things. So you wake up and you realize that's why you're not okay. It has nothing to do with anything else. You're not okay because you made yourself not okay by storing everything that ever bothered you inside of you. Now, to be fair, and I don't want to be because it complicates the issue, I'd just as soon stay there. Somebody's going to raise their hand inevitably and say, but what about good things that happened to you? Don't you store those too? Yes, you do. Go to a restaurant. Have the best meal you've ever had. Go tell all your friends. Bring them. I'm going to take you. Don't do it. Why? It's not going to be the same. You have a concept in your mind of what the chef cooked, what the special was, who was sitting where, what the music was playing, does anybody smoking, how loud are the people. It's not going to be that way again. Do you understand that? First kiss. You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips. Like, you've had an experience and you liked it and you stored it. You want it to happen again. And you will judge everything that happens against that experience. It will never happen again. But it can't, because that was the first time it happened. It was new, surprising. You didn't expect anything. You were open. There was no expectations. Now you're full of expectations. You're comparing what's happening against what you stored inside as your positive, we call them some scars, the stuff you store inside, negative and positive some scars. Now, I think you understand what I'm telling you, and I know you've done it. Don't worry about it. Just worry about the negative ones. The positive ones will take care of themselves. Don't say they're trying to get rid of your positive experiences, all right? In addition, if I asked you the ratio between negative ones you stored and positive ones you stored, you better blush. You store negative ones in there every single moment of your day. She didn't say hello. The driver didn't use his blinker. It's raining when I have to get out of the car. That's ridiculous. I don't even want to live in Florida anymore. It's so humid. My hair frizzes. I don't like that. It's a constant thing. All right? You complain so much more than you rejoice. It's not even funny. It's negative in there because you stored negativity inside of you. You stored all these past experiences, and I'm just talking about normal experiences. You've had bad experiences. Everybody's had bad experiences. Maybe traumatic experiences. Maybe really, really uncomfortable experiences. Yes or no? And they're still in there. Why would you store them in there? Because nobody taught you how not to. The natural thing to do is to not like it and push it away. When you don't like something, what do? Push it away. In fact, when it was happening, you didn't want to experience it. So you did everything you could to keep it at a distance from you. Last thing you do is embrace it. Oh, boy, here comes jealousy. Or here comes mommy being mean, or whatever the heck it is. You hear me? You don't do that. You try to push it away. And when you push it away, where do you think it goes? This is real spirituality, this discussion. Where do you think it goes when you push it away? It goes right down into your Shakti system, into your chi, into your energy system, into your heart, into deep storage. It goes into deep storage. And it's still there all the emotions, all the feelings. If somehow you try to go home and you haven't seen mommy for years, she's coming back inside of you. Better yet, go to your high school reunion. 30 years later, and everyone you see is coming back who they were in high school. That's why you had the reunion. Let's reunite with ourselves. Stuff's coming up. You didn't like her then, you don't like her now. She stole your boyfriend, get away from me. She was your best friend, now she's not saying hello. Like, it's a mess. Should it be a mess? No. Every person you meet at a high school reunion you've never met before. It's been 30 years. They're not the same. But that is not what happens to you, is it? The stuff that's in there comes back up. Spirituality is about getting rid of that stuff and not putting any more in, period. That's what it is. Can you see that? What if you didn't have anything in there like that? What if you could wake up in the morning and just be excited to see what's going to happen today because you don't have these fears and anxieties and you're not causing all this trouble for yourself? What if somebody yesterday that you said hello to and they didn't say hello to you today, instead of avoiding them tomorrow or finding out why they didn't say hello, it's just totally open. It's just if it didn't even happen. Who cares why they didn't say hello? I told you, if a person doesn't say hello to you, what is it? 8.3 billion other people didn't say hello either. Or somebody has a bad day. I told you, your husband or wife come home and had a bad day at the office, and you were all excited, you have a special dinner, whatever it is, right? And they come storming into the house, slam the door of the bedroom. What are you like when they come out? I know what it would be nice to be like. I was fine before you got home. I'm fine with you storming by. And basically, you come out, I'm ready to have a nice day. You don't have to say a word. I don't have to understand. If you want to talk about it, fine. If you don't, fine. I'm fine. How'd you like to be married to that person? That's what you're capable of, but not while you're carrying all this garbage inside. So you finally get to the point where you realize that is spiritual growth. Now, first of all, it means that your worldly life and your spiritual life are exactly the same. If you're meditating, it's so you can catch your breath and calm down and go back into the battlefield of life and handle it better. If you're not meditating at this time and it's pushing you, that's wonderful. That's why I'm here. They're the same thing. Meditating is exactly the same. If you can handle what's going on inside and let go and meditate, can you handle what's going on outside and be at peace? That's your challenge. So you have stuff you need to work through. How's that? Do you have stuff you need to work through in relationships and business and finance, in this and that, and people respecting you? You have stuff you got to work through. The battlefield of life is a very, very good place to work that through. Why? Because you can't hide. Can you? You can keep trying to avoid it, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about saying, okay, I'm going to go out into the most spiritual experience of my life. What? My life. It is, I don't like to talk about it because it's so subtle. Your life is custom made for you. Now, just a minute. Don't you think you know what I'm talking about, because I'm not going to say it the way you want me to. Your life is custom made for you. But how can life be custom made for me, and you're standing next to me, and you're standing next to me, and it's custom made for you too, and we're both looking at the same moment? It gets confusing. Well, it's very simple. Why? Because you're not seeing the same moment that I am. What do you mean? It's hitting your stuff, it's hitting my stuff, it's not hitting her stuff. You put on dark glasses, or rose-colored glasses, or green glasses, and that's what you see. So it's not that the world is being made for you. You are seeing the world through the veil of your problems. Therefore, it is exactly perfect for you. So if you get married again after a bad divorce or something, and all of a sudden this new person starts acting a certain way, which they've always been that way, you just didn't notice before. They're 35 years old. There's a whole part of them you never met. And you start freaking out because it reminds you of your ex. And you say that. You know I can't handle my ex. Why are you being like that? And if somebody says to you, oh, you attracted it to you. You don't have to attract it to you. You're looking through the veil of your garbage, therefore it looks like that. It is custom made for you because you made it that way. Now look at me, because this is not what everybody's taught. You create your own universe. It's your karma. No. The world's innocent. The world's just unfolding. What is the world in front of you? You're all smart enough to understand science, good enough to say, the world unfolding in front of me is the result of all the causes that made it be that way. The world in front of me at any given moment is the sum total accumulation of all the forces in creation that came before and ended up coalescing into that moment. That's science, isn't it? Cause and effect, fine. But that's not how you see that moment. You don't say, oh, look what the quantum field did now. I try to encourage you to do that. I really do. I love these quantum physicists. They're your gurus. They're the priests. They're sitting there telling you there is nothing here. That's not a spiritual discussion anymore. That's a fact. It's not all made of energy. There's a field that gets agitated, and because it's agitated, it begins to make waves. That's the energy. Otherwise, there's an unmanifest field. Oh my God, that sounds like Brahma. Unmanifest, right? I mean, they're so far down there. It's really coming back to the essence that all the great masters taught. It's all made of light. It's all made of energy. There are no atoms. Did you know that? There are no atoms. There's just field wavelets that seem to throw off positive and negative forces, and they pull themselves together. And I like it. If you start reading about quantum physics, the real stuff doesn't use the word particle. It uses it in quotes. A particle. An electron is a particle. There are no particles. There's just force fields. And they pull together and interact together and create the universe. That's what's in front of you. How can you not be blown away? How can you like it or not like it? Do you hear me? It's just, wow. That's what it is. Wow. Your body is that. Every cell in your body is made of atoms. But there are no atoms. There's just the quantum fields manifesting forces that put together. Oh my God. So how can your body be yours? Nothing's yours. Nothing's there. It's wow. Why can't you think like that? You can't have a bad day. It's just miraculous that there is a day. And then you get to experience it. I don't understand. It's awesome. That's what it's like when you're done. That's what's really out there. Einstein, I can't get it exactly his quote exact, but it's a beautiful quote. He says something like, all this entire world is just an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. If you woke up in the morning and your body didn't look like it used to and the dressing didn't look like it used to, you wouldn't be as attached to everything. But it's pretty persistent, isn't it? So it's funny to say it comes from the quantum field. The same, my God, it keeps making the same thing all the time. But not really. It keeps changing, moving, and I don't know. I can't talk about it. It's too deep. But what you've talked about is reality. There's not a scientist around, China, Russia, America, anywhere, that doesn't understand the basic standard model of physics that we understand now. And it says nothing's there. But you don't live that, do you? So you put on the glasses of your stuff. That's what your eyeglasses are made of, aren't they? Come on, I say yes. It's your stuff. What if you didn't have stuff? Oh my God. What if you didn't have stuff? Doesn't mean you're not there. You're still there. But there's not all this garbage, psyche stuff that you stored inside yourself, creating an ego and an id and a superego and all this stuff. That's all made out of your stuff. Do you understand that? Go study Freud from that point of view. You'll realize that the ego are thought patterns that you pulled together and created a self-concept. Out of what? Out of your past experience. What does psychology say? Man is the sum of his learned experiences. I'll repeat that. Woman too. Man is the sum of his learned experiences. Didn't we just say that? You gathered all this stuff in there, right? And so you're different than her, and you'll be different tomorrow too. You'll have another experience. That's just the psychology. That's just psyche. That's just mind that you pulled around your consciousness. Somebody once asked Yogananda, what is ego? He asked an enlightened master, what is ego? He said, the masquerading self. The masquerading self. In other words, you are the consciousness, and you built a mask around you, didn't you? Called the self-concept. The thoughts that you stored and built the whole ego out of, built the whole thing out of. If that's not there, oh my God, that doesn't mean you're not there. That's enlightenment. Mayor Baba said, man minus mind equals God. Doesn't mean you don't think. It means that mind that you built in there, that you're saying, this is me. I'm a 30-year-old woman, and this is my child, and this is my husband, and boy, did I have some trouble in high school. That's not who you are. They're experiences that you had. You would still be there if you didn't have those experiences, but your psyche would be different. So if you get rid of this stuff, which is what we're going to talk about, first of all, can you get rid of this stuff? Of course you get rid of this stuff. There's no fly paper in there. There's no super glue. There's not a single thing in there. It's thinner than air. It's totally etheric. 99% of everything you experience goes right through. All the white lines, all the trees that you drive by, all the cars, all the people you don't know. It just comes in and goes through. It can all do that. It's called be here now. You can be experiencing the moment, and then you experience the next moment. Otherwise, you're busy being there then, holding on to the things that happened in the past. If you do that, you're not experiencing reality. You're experiencing your veil that you pulled around yourself. And if you devote yourself to trying to make that veil feel better, I feel sorry for you. That's why you have compassion for somebody. Oh, you're still doing that. You're still out there trying to make everybody and everything around you be a way that when it comes in through your veil, it feels better. How about we get rid of the veil? That's spirituality. Always, under all conditions. Well, how do you do that? It's so beautiful. I once heard a great master say, life is your guru. Of course it is. It is every moment shining a spotlight on what's left inside of you that needs to be gotten rid of. Your stuff keeps coming up, doesn't it? The question is, are you centered enough to say, time to go to God? That's the purpose of every single thing that's going on. It's a spotlight that, okay, I got this stuff inside of me. Better work on that. And people say to me, well, how do I got a lot of stuff in there. How do I know what to work on next? You'll know. You'll know, but you just don't want to know. You think spirituality is angels and the halos and those sweet, sweet things and vegan food. And people just lovey all the time, right? That's because you're not okay, and so you have to have that kind of stuff to be okay. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it, but basically you get to the point where you say, I need to get rid of this stuff. I don't need to manipulate my friends and people, and especially your family, your husband or wife, so that they be a way that makes me feel better. I need to use this situation to get rid of me. And I don't know whether you understand that, but that's the essence of spirituality. So how does one do that? I hope you don't get bored, because I always teach it to you the way I've learned it. By the time it's all said and done, you're not going to be able to do it with the big stuff. Whew, thank God he said that. You're not going to be able to all of a sudden let go of mommy, let go of daddy, let go of ex-husband, let go of whatever the heck it is you got stored in there. There's a reason you stored it in there. What? I couldn't handle it. Well, when it comes back up, you can't handle it either. You push it right back down, or you yell at somebody. So what do? You start with, I told you there's two parts. Get rid of what's in there. That's not enough. And don't put any more in. What good does it do to get rid of what's in there and just keep putting more in there? That's where you do your work. I hope you listen to me. This is serious. Now there's something you can do. I don't have to put more in there every day. If somebody doesn't say hello to me, if I'm driving behind somebody and they're driving 10 miles an hour slower than the speed limit and I'm in a rush, I do not have to get upset. There's a tendency to, but I can handle that. I can sit there and do mantra. I can sit there and breathe. I can sit there and accept this is reality. It's a good time to let go of myself. And the same thing with the weather. I can't help myself. I always tell you. I remember the time I first did it back in the 78 or something like that. It was hot out. I was out here and alone, and I didn't have air conditioning or anything. And the sun is in the middle of August and hot. And Mickey's in there. It's hot. Oh, yeah, it's hot. You know, you got one of those guys in there. And I asked him, why is it hot? He's a smart guy. Why is it hot? I love telling you this story. Well, because the sun is hot. Well, how far is away the sun, Mick? 93 million miles. How far is Miami? 360. What if every single building in Miami caught fire? What effect would it have on the temperature up here? Nothing. That thing's 93 million miles away. And you're complaining about how hot. That thing must be hot. You hear me? That's some hot stuff. Wow, that's pretty neat, right? And by the way, Mick, is it the sun? No, it's a star. That's a star? I mean, stars are what I see at night, twinkle, twinkle. That's one of them. Wow. All of a sudden you realize you are close enough to a star to feel its heat. That's pretty far out, isn't it? You don't think like that, do you? And did you know that 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun? 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. If you were to see a picture of the sun in its fullness, and the Earth was transiting it, right? You all like a eclipse or kind of, no. Let's look at what's reality. You would see like a pen blot about that big circling a giant thing. There should be a spot going around it. And all of a sudden, it's neat. There's not a time since then that no matter what I'm doing or where I'm going, if it shines on me, I just stop and look up. Wow, I'm sitting there transiting this little thing, little dots going around this thing, and it's that big. 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun, and it's that hot. 93 million miles away, and all of a sudden it's fun, it's exciting. You can do that with everything in your life, can't you? Bring your higher mind, your intellectual mind, analytical mind, abstract mind. Bring it to bear. Don't just let every single stupid reaction just because you had trouble with the hot. You don't like the hot or the rain because you had a birthday party when you were 5 and it was too hot or it was rainy and now it left this mark inside of you. Hear me? All right. So you start saying, I'm not going to store more today. I love telling you this. That's my spiritual path. That's my spiritual growth. I'm going to go through this day and handle what happens. There's a challenge. You play the piano, you got to have scales. Play tennis, you got to practice. You practice being okay. Now, today, with what's happening. And you do that when you wake up in the morning and you say to yourself, I am going to have fun handling whatever happens today. And then at night, you sit down quietly. How did I do? Not so good. Okay, so let go of what you didn't let go of during the day. It becomes so much fun. Your entire life becomes your spiritual growth. If you play an instrument, you play a sport, you're not good right away. You have to learn to practice. You're practicing being okay. That's a pretty neat thing, right? People writing from all over the world, you changed my life. No, you changed your life. You stop storing all this garbage inside of you. And you start feeling lighter. And I'm telling you what's going to happen if you do that, and I hope you do that, because it's fun. That's a lot of fun. The benefits of playing the piano, the benefits of playing tennis, big deal. This is changing your life. Everything changes. Then something bigger is going to come up, I guarantee you. Why? Because you stop shoving the small stuff on top of it. It's a LIFO stack, last in, first out. So you shove that down there. When you stop shoving that down there, I'm telling you, some old stuff will start coming up. You're driving your car, you start crying. You don't even know why. You're not crazy. Your stuff's coming up. Rejoice. People say, well, what do I do if something comes up that's really difficult? Thank it. I'm serious. You get to the point where you're centered enough. Say, oh my God, I don't want this stuff in here. We had a nice hour talk. I hope you realize you don't want that stuff in there. It's the cause of every problem you have in your entire life. So you welcome it up. It's hard, but you welcome it up. And I've learned, I've gotten soft in my old age, all right? You apologize to it for having shoved it down there. It's like locking a kid in the closet. You took part of your psyche that was the most difficult at that time. And you said, go away. I don't want to hear from you ever again. Well, it's going to rot down there. It's a virus. It's going to affect everything in your whole life. You won't be able to love. You won't be able to taste your food. Not as much as you could. It affects everything. And so when it starts to come up, of course it's difficult. Of course you have a tendency to push away. Keep your hands to yourself. Breathe. Say thank you. Well, what do I do if it's coming up? Thank it. Welcome it. But I'm telling you, you apologize to it. It's part of your psyche. And you shoved it down there when you weren't able to handle it. So now you've grown. And you sit there and say, I'm sorry, here's your space. Take whatever time you need. I don't have to pull you up. But you're coming up. And I'm going to handle it. I don't care how long it takes or what it is. And when that stuff comes up, now, wait till you see how much Shakti is behind. That's what people say, how do you know what I teach? Because you start seeing all the Shakti coming up from behind the garbage you stuffed down there. In fact, it's called transmutation of energy. It was stored down there as garbage. As it releases, you realize it's light. You shove that thing down there. And all of a sudden, all this beauty and love comes flying up inside of you. And then you start saying, wow, that was nice. Took some work, but that was nice. I wonder what's next. You'll find out. Because there will be a next. I once said, don't worry, there's a limited amount down there. Somebody challenged me with that. So, how do you know? If you let it up, it will come up. And you just let life be your guru. You let life dig down in there, bring it up. You just honor the fact that it's happening. Whatever happened today is when it was supposed to happen. And where do you see what happens? And now we get to close at a nice note. You let enough go, and there's a magic moment. Right now, you don't realize that your Shakti flows down. It flows down. Why? Because you get distracted by what's down there. You get distracted by this thought or by this fear or by this or that. It's always focusing down, okay? You get to a certain point where you've let go enough of that and learned, I'm going to let go. Whatever comes up, I'm letting go. I'm a letting go machine. That's what I am, a letting go machine. That's what my life's about. And all of a sudden, it changes direction. Literally, I'm not figuratively. It changes direction. You start feeling these waves of upward flow, of Shakti, of spirit, of chi flowing inside of you. And it's beautiful. You find out that that's what love was. What you called love was when your heart opened enough because everything was just right. It had to be just right, you understand that? To where you felt the Shakti that's inside of there. It's there all the time. It's only conditional love and unconditional love. And then you reach the point where it's so beautiful that I'm not going back down. And you mean it. Why would I go back down? It's rather nice up here. And then things happen and you find that you're strong enough. Why are you strong? Because you're being fed. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of God. That's what Christ said. What does that mean? You're not getting your energy by eating food or having experiences outside. It's flowing inside of you. It's a true statement. And eventually you get to the point where that's intoxicating. That's the meaning of your life. That's everything. And you start getting higher and higher. You start being able to handle things that you couldn't handle before. It's beautiful. That is called spiritual growth. And like I said, your meditations and different things doesn't mean you don't put time aside. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. But you did the work that's necessary to purify why you were being held down. You untethered yourself. You cut the tethers, and then it goes up. The hot air and blue goes up. All right. So we had a nice talk about real spirituality. Somebody once asked the master, what is the purpose of my birth on earth? And he said, earth is a place where souls are sent to evolve. That's the meaning of your life. Earth is a place where souls are sent to evolve. You're a very great being. You just have to do this work. Thank you. Jai Gurudev.